All right, welcome into another live experience here on the Twitch and Facebook. This is Tunesday Tuesday, presented by the Boston Chris Show, episode number 49. Holy crap, we are halfway to 100 by the end of today, as we will be doing episode 50 at 8 o'clock. We are live each and every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. with a singer-songwriter in each episode. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We are chatting with Mr. Johnny Marie, singer-songwriter from the Kansas City area, I believe, and he is with the project The Real Flower Pots. We will be featuring one of their songs tonight, as well as a pick of the week from Johnny. And without any further ado, guys, let's get into my interview with Johnny live here on Twitch and Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you are not following any of our social media, it's at the Boston Chris Show. Just do that real quick while you wait. And let's get into it with Johnny Marie. Johnny, how are you tonight, my dude?
Good evening, sir.
Man, I'm so stoked to chat with you, man, because you have a lot going on. I've been reading a lot about you. You got a lot of projects you're working on, huh?
I do. Yeah, I keep a couple of sound engineers busy.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I was just,
Oh, well,
yeah, I
you know,
imagine that's so.
Patrick, who's not here, my partner in the Real Flower Pots, mixes and masters all my stuff, and then also the Real Flower Pots and Girl for Samson's stuff. So, yeah, I hit bottlenecks with him sometimes, and have to wander off and find someone else that I'm not used to.
Yeah, I understand. You're from the Kansas City area, is that correct?
I've lived here a long time. Yeah, I'm originally from Northern Virginia.
Oh, okay. Northern Virginia, so up near the D.C. area.
Close.
Yeah, very
Not far,
cool,
not
man.
far from.
Yeah, that's what's up. What's the Kansas City music scene like?
Well, I'm not in anything that performs. Uh, s- so I think it's probably the same as anywhere. Not as good as a college town, you
Right.
know. Yeah, but there are venues certainly for original stuff.
I love that too. Like original music is where it's at, but I feel like venues kind of fall short from that a lot of times, right? What's the need for the multiple projects like the Real Flower Pots, Girl for Samson, and stuff?
There's actually a good tale behind the flower pots thing. Patrick and I write in together in Grover Samson. We have for 25 years.
Wow.
Um, and through the course of time, we've built up lots of unfinished things. And we both have studios, so just little demos and such. And I came up with this idea for the Real Flower Pot, just the name. And I thought the name was worthy of building a band around. So just in having a conversation with Patrick, we talked about having unfinished songs and just exchanging them without without the other person overseeing the progress or giving any direction about genre, or content. Just here's mine and you give me yours, and we'll start completing them. And so
Is
that's how that was born.
is there a stylistic difference between the projects?
A little bit. We started at the beginning with the flower pots, the Real Flower Pots. I nickname, I'm used to referring, yeah, like Boston.
Yeah.
Uh, we started off with kind of a rule that we would only use acoustic instruments, and we abandoned that about halfway through and went back to using a bunch of synths and stuff. But yeah, I think the flower pots are a little more all over the place. The song that I sent you, there's nothing else on the album like it, and I think most of them are like that. Where the Girl for Samson has a bit of a style after all this time.
What would you say are the like if you could slap a an identity on each one as far as genre goes? What would you say they are?
I just there was a time, and yell at me if I'm wandering too much, but there was a time like in American radio, and maybe all of Western radio, where you would hear Aretha Franklin and then Sammy Davis Jr. and then the Stones and
Yeah.
then Glenn Campbell. And so I think we think that way when we write. We don't. It's just all a possibility. I would hate to be in a band where we had to write a certain way. And I see bands putting ads together, like in papers, trying to collect members, and they'll have a very narrow, specific, not only genre but an age group, and or instrumentation. And I think you just cheat yourself of doing anything compelling. I don't know if I answered the question, but so I probably wouldn't answer the question. If the snare ends on 2 and 4, then it's pop rock, right? It's
Yeah, no.
Doesn't matter how many chords you have, or
Man, describing music can be just an impossible thing to do when you're just trying to be creative. You know what I mean? Like, I love the song you sent us that we're featuring tonight. The song is called Birdie. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in depth in a few minutes. But it's just such an old school vibe to me, man. It takes me back to like 70s rock and like the Beatles and the Stones and kind of that like psychedelic era of music, man. I just really love the song, and I'm excited to play it for folks. I do have a question from our live chat, and it's something that I have on my question list anyway. The real flower pots infers that there are quote-unquote fake flower pots out there, and that's a very scary thing that comes from our live chat. So, are there fake flower pots?
Yeah, of course, the name appealed to me because it was nonsensical.
Yeah.
But in the flower pot world, I suppose that like clay pots are real flower pots, and like plastic pots are, not.
Well, I mean, in defense of the plastic flower pots, they are indeed real plastic, though.
Yes, you bring up a fair point. There was when we were when we were taking cell phone pictures of ourselves for the cover, it occurred to us that we were flower pots for songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't like a grand notion at the beginning. It was just it was just gibberish, but we sort of grew into the gibberish, I think.
Yeah. So from the live chat, they say, please pass along my adoration to Johnny. Looking forward to hearing the song. This name is The Stuff of Legend. Thanks again. Very good stuff. So what's the songwriting process like for you and Patrick in coming up with these songs?
Well, again, we kind of start with, we give each other seeds. The idea was that in a 50-50 kind of way, he'd give me 6 or 7 songs and I would give him 6 or 7, and we'd complete them and then maybe hand them back and forth a few times and finish them. But because I have him so choked with mixing, it was really me for this album finishing a lot of his things, and they could be as simple as a chord pattern or just a section of a B part to a 3-part or 4-part song. So I would either insert more parts or just embellish what he sent, and then we would pass it back and forth a few times. One thing that's kind of interesting about what we do is that for the second half of the album and towards the end of the Girl for Samson album that came out in January, we started using both of our vocals to complete a line. So by midway through the Flower Pots album, we would both sing it all the way through, and then he would pick out the best feeling parts, of his contribution and mine. Like, he sings low parts better, so he would often replace low parts with his own voice, but then I would finish the line. As it happens in Birdie, in the very opening of Birdie, it's a composite of both of us.
Awesome stuff, man. I'm really stoked to get folks to hear this stuff, just because you guys are so unique to me. I have a question for you. You did mention that you don't really perform out that much. Has it been kind of the thing all along? You guys aren't really a performing band?
Girl for Samson did it once in 2007, and it took like months to rehearse and prepare for it, and we just decreed we would never use that much time. It already takes us 3 or 4 years to get an album out, and it just retards the process. I am in a band called Johnny Marie and the Lonesome Petunias, and we've had a history of playing out regularly until COVID, and then just a few times, and then now we just record.
And so, what's the struggle there? Because, like, a lot of times that's how you use. I mean, you use live performances, live shows to kind of sell your art. So, without that, I imagine it's going to be harder to kind of get seen and heard, right?
Uh, yeah, I think that absolutely shows or doing YouTube content
Yeah,
helps, and we don't really do any of that stuff. In fact, until last year, we never promoted anything. We would distribute digitally to all the streaming services and then move on to the next thing. And I decreed that, I was going to do what I could, hence our conversation,
sure.
do what I could to get reviews and interviews and, radio play. And it was really rewarding to find people kind of responsive, because after muffling silence for 20 years,
Yeah.
you think, well, we're the only ones that like it. And
Yeah, that's a big step, man. Just
Yeah.
from a creative standpoint, that's going to be big. Like, just hearing people's responses to what you've created. Let's talk a little bit about Johnny's pick of the week, this is always so fascinating to me to get a song picked by a songwriter and then find out why. So the song that Johnny has picked is called "Care of Cell 44" by the Zombies. So of all the songs in the world, why is this your pick of the week, Johnny?
Yeah, I could have, yeah, like most of your artists, there were 100 I could have chosen from. I just snatched that one out of the air. It checks some boxes for me in that it's a good pop song. It has kind of a little bit of a psychedelic vibe with mellotrons and such, but lyrically it's well off of the beaten path, and that really appeals to me. Content,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, you just pretty much described the Zombies, right? I mean, off the beaten path. I love that so much. So we're going to talk
Yeah.
a little bit about the featured song as well before we get into the music. We are featuring Birdie, as we have talked a little bit about, from the real flower pots, not the plastic ones. We're talking about clay here, y'all. But tell us about Birdie. What's the song about, and kind of what's the vision behind the song?
I'll start off saying that I love leaving. I don't. If you wrote what the song was about, or and put it on the ground, I like to. If you imagine like a drone pulling away from it until you almost can't see it anymore, and I like to write in that place, because it leaves a lot of room for the listener to make it their own, and those kinds of songs always appealed to me.
That's very smart. Very smart.
Growing up. This one, Patrick sent me the middle bit first, which was like, he said, and he was right. There's like, I don't know what to do with this. It's a very quirky instrumental section. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of played around with the xylophone and added some things at the start, came up with the melody at the beginning, and sent it back to him. And then he came up with the outro, which is, one of the best parts of the song, I think. I wanted to write, I like adding dark topics to happy music.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is kind of a grim tale. I won't say what it is. I'll just let people sort of work out, because there's room enough to make it anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that always appealed to me. And I can't think of an artist who does that regularly, but people who do often, I like a mix of dark and light.
Yeah, open to interpretation, and that's making a comeback. The whole, dark stuff with like the happy melodies, upbeat kind of music with the dark subject matter. I know a few artists that are doing that quite well nowadays. But man, if people were just hearing about you and your project, what would you say is the best way to follow along and support you guys?
Just listen anywhere you're comfortable streaming. Of course, Bandcamp and SoundCloud benefit artists more than everybody else, but the ears are what's important. I was telling someone, because we have a few people who listen and like our stuff, that I think there are more bands than good listeners these days, because everybody can do it. There's just never been more bands in history, because everybody that was old, that was in a band when they were in the 60s, still probably playing a blues band or something, and the kids are forming bands all the time. So listeners are a rare thing, and we and welcome them.
Yeah, I think with the DIY and the age of social media, everybody has an outlet to be heard. Whereas in the old days, you needed to be on terrestrial radio, and for that, you needed to be on a label for the most part. There was underground music back then too, but a lot of that you just had to find, live, really, honestly. And sometimes you could go to your local record shop, and they would have, kind of underground stuff they could share with you. But guys, I would say go check out Johnny's website. He's got a website. It's called johnnymarie.net. Lists all of his projects on here, what he's got going on. You can listen to the music right from there. It's really a one-stop shop for what Johnny does. I definitely recommend you guys check that out. And Johnny, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, man.
I really appreciate it, Boston Chris.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good rest of your night, and we're going to get into the music. All right, cool. So without any further ado, guys, we're going to get into the very first song. Here is the cover of the record here. Here come the Real Flower Pots, and here is Johnny Marie and his buddy Patrick, the Real Flower Pots, with Birdie.
Climbing the cards of Parker Field.
right, there is the Real Flower Pots with Birdie, and of course Johnny's pick of the week.
Good morning to you. I hope you're feeling better, baby. Thinking of me while you are far away. Counting the days until they set you free again. Writing this letter, hoping you're okay. Send you the room you used to stay in every Sunday. The one that is warmed by sunshine every day. And we'll get to know each other for a second time. And then you can tell me about your prison stay. Boom, 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 boom. Feels so good you're coming home soon. It's gonna be good to have you back again with me. Watching the laughter play around your eyes. Come up and fetch you, saved up for the train fare money. Kiss and make up and it will be so nice. Boom, 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 boom. Feels so good you're coming home soon. Walking away we used to walk, and it could be so nice. Talking away we used to talk, and it could be so nice. Come up and fetch you, saved up for the train fare money. Kiss and make up and it will be so nice. Boom, 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 boom. Feels so good you're coming home soon.
All right, thanks once again to Johnny Marie of the Real Flower Pots for his pick of the week, care of Cell 44 by the Zombies, and for being my guest for episode 49 of Tunesday Tuesday. Do not fret, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in 90 minutes with yet another awesome guest right here for episode 50, featuring Eddie Delmonico. If you guys are watching on Spotify or YouTube in the future, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of the good stuff. And if you're watching live, I'll see you guys in 90 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Much love.